Hello and welcome to a crazy episode of Box Office Receipts. I'm your host, Alec Callahan, and well, let's just say this is one of those episodes where massive shifts in Hollywood have happened yet again. Now, we did have a regular episode lined up with box office numbers, Hollywood updates, the works, but when this news dropped, it was too big to be thrown into that episode. So, that episode will come out in a few days after this one, so if the news seems a little old, I do apologize, but I do feel this is more important to talk about right now. So what am I talking about? Well, Warner Brothers / WarnerMedia announced that for 2021, their entire slate of movies that they release will also come to HBO Max on the same day. Before we talk about the movies, this is what the release strategy will be. When a movie is released in America, it will be released on HBO Max and any theater that is open and wants to show it. For other countries right now, it will still be just a normal theatrical release until HBO Max arrives in their country, which could be a while. So that is for day 1 to day 30. Day 31 to day 90, it will follow a exclusive theatrical window. After that, it will follow the usual process of VOD, Blu-ray, back to streaming, and so on. Now, what movies does this include? Well, we are talking about big blockbusters like Godzilla vs. Kong, Suicide Squad, Dune, Matrix 4, smaller movies like The Many Saints of Newark, Conjuring 3, and Those Who Wish Me Dead. Now, how is this move brought together? Well, apparently, besides the top executives, very few people knew about the decision, with Deadline reporting that the people who made the films, unless their contract had a financial stake in how it performed, they were not told. Also, theaters were only given an hour heads up before the news broke, similar to what Universal did with Trolls. And talking about this possibly being the plan beyond 2021, this is what they had to say. Quote, "This is a temporary 2021 plan. We have to support exhibitors with the product. We don't think we're changing the economics of these movies any more than the pandemic has. We're adding another interval and period for revenue with HBO Max," end quote. Now, there have been rumors that to help out theaters and to get them to convince them to play these movies, they'll be offering a more favorable cut of the box office revenue. So how are theaters reacting to this? Well, not as well as you'd expect. First up, Cinemark, which actually is staying tight-lipped about how they feel. Quote, "In light of the current operating environment, we are making near-term booking decisions on a film-by-film basis. At this time, Warner Brothers has not provided any details for the hybrid distribution model of their 2021 films," end quote. So it seems for now they are taking the more diplomatic approach and will try to work out a deal with WarnerMedia behind the scenes before going public with their thoughts. Smart move. If you want to see a more emotional response, you know by now you need to just take a look at AMC, which went guns blazing at Universal before working out a deal. It seems right now they'll be taking the same strategy as here. The head of the theater chain, Adam Aron, had this to say, quote, "These coronavirus-impacted times are uncharted waters for all of us, which is why AMC signed on to a HBO Max exception to customary practices for one film only, Wonder Woman 1984 being released by Warner Brothers at Christmas. When the pandemic appears, that it will be at its height. However, Warner now hopes to do this for all of their 2021 theatrical movies, despite the likelihood that with vaccines right around the corner, the theater business is expected to recover. Clearly, WarnerMedia intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of their profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. We have already commissioned an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject," end quote. So clearly he was going to try and work out a deal, which I think might be a bit tougher than Universal. See, Universal still respected the exclusive window, but just wanted it shorter, and was willing to cut theaters in on a little profit. Here, Warner Brothers is throwing that out the window because, yes, days 30 through 90 are exclusive, but that doesn't really count since it was on HBO Max day 1. This is breaking the window. So they need to offer very favorable terms to theaters to show the movies, because they might refuse. But I'll get into my thoughts in a minute. Finally, we have a statement from Regal, or I should be more specific, the company that runs Regal in the United States. And this statement kind of sits in between AMC and Cinemark. Quote, "Cineworld was aware of Warner Brothers' plan to release Wonder Woman directly to its streaming service, which has been announced at the time when our cinemas remain closed in the US and the UK. We are very encouraged by the giant steps achieved recently with regards to the COVID-19 vaccination process. which is expected to put in place earlier than previously anticipated. This will generate significant relief for our industry and enable our cinemas to make a great comeback. We believe that at such a time, Warner Brothers will look to reach an agreement about the proper window and terms that will work for both sides. Big movies are made for the big screen, and we cannot wait to reopen our cinemas in Q1 in order to offer our customers, as always, the best place to watch a movie. End quote. So while they are more open about the need for changes, unlike Cinemark, they are not like AMC in being emotional about it. So I gotta say, I think this is the bombshell of 2020 for Hollywood in general. Up until now, we've had a lot of changes being made, from Universal forcing a shorter theatrical window and Disney pulling select movies to put them on Disney Plus via different methods. But this is on a whole new level. This is not, we're looking to get by change. This is a welcome to the new normal change. Now, some of these films may be pushed out of 2021 due to other issues. But right now, just guaranteeing anything Warner Brothers releases in 2021. And with all these changes, I think it's time to start naming names here. And I think Jason Kilar has just put his career on the line with this change. If you're not aware of him, he runs WarnerMedia as a whole and has been aggressively pushing HBO Max. Now, while I think he is risking his career at WarnerMedia, he is not stupid, and I think he knows he has a chance here that he can play out well. He worked at Amazon and helped Jeff Bezos get what would be Prime Video set up and running, and helped grow Hulu to what it was before moving over to WarnerMedia. If he pulls this off, he will go down in history as a key figure in Hollywood. Mark my words on that. But let's get back to the plus and minuses of this. What is good about this is, well, for the consumers, they get everything they want. Assuming theaters will actually play the movies, then as long as it's safe for theaters to be open in their area, they have the option to stay at home and watch it, or go to a theater. People have been asking for choice, and once things get back to normal, they will have it. So for customers and movie watchers, it's mostly a win. For HBO Max by itself, this is a massive win. That part of WarnerMedia has needed big content to bring people over to subscribe for a while, and that is something I've mentioned before, and it's a serious issue. By having Warner Brothers' entire 2021 lineup available for a month means that they will constantly have new content out, and that is something people would actually want to watch. With a strong marketing push, this should get many more people to sign up domestically, and for people who have HBO already, to start using their Max account and convert. For Warner Brothers, I feel this is a mixed bag. We do not know all the details on how contractually this will work. In an interview with Recode, Kilar mentioned that actors, directors, producers that get bonuses depending on how a movie does box office wise will be able to get a cut from the money HBO Max sends to Warner Brothers for the license for that 30-day window. Remember, while WarnerMedia owns both, you can't just pass these movies back and forth since contracts for them have been agreed upon for years now. So for Warner Brothers, the issue is that they may see even less of a return in box office numbers compared to other studios when the world starts to get back to normal. This in turn could affect who wants to work with them and what kind of budgets they can set for films they want to make in the future. So I would say for the short term, there's nothing but upside, but this could have more long-term effects. Now obviously the group that has nothing going for it in this change is the theaters themselves. Look, if you're listening to this, you know about box office numbers, and you know besides the odd movie with great legs, movies make most of their money in the first month and then it drops out. So letting HBO Max have the movies as well for the first 30 days, then switch to theaters, may sound nice, but that's not going to boost numbers. With the amount of movies in Hollywood just piling up down and need to be released, again, after the first month, people will just go see a different one that just came out in theaters. Like, unless studios push everything back again, let's assume summer 2021 on, right, vaccines mostly out and all that, movies will be coming out at a rapid pace. You know, if you thought summer seasons before were rapid, whew. So, you know, it's going to be a mess. And again, there are rumors Warner Brothers offering better cuts of the box office revenue for theaters in return for playing when it comes out. But again, we won't know what the rates are or if they show it until, push comes to shove and they actually have to do it. But let's take the Suicide Squad, for example. And let's assume it comes out next August and the world's back to normal. Probably not 100%, but let's just assume for this exercise. The first one made around $330 million domestic a few years ago. For theaters to be okay with this new system, and for Warner Brothers as well, the movie I think would need to do around $200 million at least. This is a decent return for a superhero movie, and if it can do that, while also being available on HBO Max, then it shows people still want to go to the theaters. However, if it fails to make much, much less, let's say less than $100 million, that is not good for either Warner Brothers or theaters. And the only way Warner Brothers gets around that is if HBO Max is getting millions and millions of subscribers, and that from that money, they can fund their big budget movies. Overall, this is a very fluid situation heading into 2021. While this is being recorded before Disney's Investor Day, I expect Disney to do something similar to Disney Plus, since they have been getting massive subscriber growth. As the world gets back to normal, they now need to work on keeping those customers. See, as the world gets back to normal, people will be doing stuff they haven't been able to do. So go out, travel, all that stuff. But that means they'll be watching less stuff, which means less of a dependence on streaming services. If customers decide to cut down on what they pay for, Disney Plus could be on the list. But if Disney offers more of their movies on the service, along with the Marvel shows and the rumored more mature section, this could help keep customers interested in the service. But to wrap it up, this was a massive shift in Hollywood thanks to WarnerMedia. And even though the world will get back to normal in 2021, Hollywood will not, and it will be quite a sight to see. That'll be it for this special episode of Box Office Receipts. The normal episode will be up a few days after this, and the question for this episode is just simply, what do you think of this move? Will you be looking to sign up for HBO now, or forget it, or just head to the theaters when you can, or both, like I will? Let me know on Facebook. The link to the page is in the show notes. Thank you for listening. See you next time.